The Carolina Gold Rush marks a fascinating chapter in American history that predates the more famous gold rushes of Colorado, California, and Montana. While these mid-19th century events captured the nation's imagination with tales of rugged adventure and untamed wilderness, the discovery of gold in North Carolina played a crucial role in shaping early American industry and settlement patterns. This early gold rush, the first of America's eastern frontier, set off a chain reaction that drew thousands to the Piedmont region, transforming it into a bustling hub of mining activity. Understanding the Carolina Gold Rush not only broadens the perspective on America's rich history of mining, but also highlights the significant cultural impact of these early treasure hunts on the development of the United States as a whole. In the past, gold mining was North Carolina's second most vital industry, right behind agriculture. The industry's prominence began in 1799, following a significant event in the southern Piedmont region. John Reed, who had previously served as a Hessian foot soldier, found a substantial gold nugget on his farm in Cabarrus County. The discovery transformed North Carolina into an attractive destination for many people. It all started in the waning days of the 18th century, when 12-year-old Conrad Reed was fishing in Little Meadow Creek on his family's farm. During this small fishing excursion, he stumbled upon a heavy rock weighing 17 pounds. Unaware of its value, his family used it as a doorstop for 3 years. It wasn't until a local jeweler identified it as a gold nugget that its true worth was detected. This discovery marked the start of the first gold rush in America. As more gold was discovered in and around the creek, Conrad's father, John Reed, became very wealthy. Realizing the value of the gold on his land, John formed a partnership with Frederick Kaiser, James Love, and Martin Pfeiffer. In 1803, the group unearthed a 28-pound gold nugget. This discovery quickly made headlines in local newspapers, prompting landowners throughout the region to search for gold on their own properties. Since most of the land was privately owned, the initial phase of the Carolina Gold Rush was driven largely by farmers, who would engage in shallow streambed mining at the end of each growing season. Soon, gold was being found in nearby counties like Montgomery, Stanley, Mecklenburg, Rowan, and Union. This spurred an influx of people eager to find gold for themselves. Gold mining then became a significant industry in the aforementioned North Carolina counties. The western part of the southern Piedmont region was a sparsely populated frontier in the mid-1700s. In 1755, Governor Arthur Dobbs took a trip to the area to inspect land he had bought, which is now in Mecklenburg and Cabarrus counties. He found 75 Scots-Irish families and 22 German families living there. Describing these settlers as hard-working, he noted that most families had between 5 and 10 children. They were engaged in trades involving livestock and growing crops like corn, wheat, barley, rye, and indigo, trading mainly with the folk of Charleston, South Carolina, located about 200 miles away. At that time, Charlotte, now North Carolina's largest city, was nothing more than a few homes and a dirt road. Early census records indicate that while most family heads were primarily farmers, many also worked as gold miners. Entire families sometimes, including young children, were involved in mining activities. During this period, miners searched for gold in creeks and gathered what they found on the ground. The mining techniques used were quite rudimentary and basic. The early gold mining industry primarily involved placer mining. Dr. E.W. Pfeiffer Jr., a Morganton surgeon and historian, described this method as requiring only basic tools like a pick, shovel, and a water source. It also included using a pan or rocker to separate the heavy gold particles from lighter sand, gravel, and debris. Most miners were poor, had little money to invest in their operations, and lacked proper training. As a result, it is estimated that about 2/3 of the gold was lost, due to these primitive methods, with only a small portion successfully extracted. Around 1805, just a few years after Conrad Reed's gold discovery, newspapers began to report on gold mining activities and the influx of people seeking gold. One notable figure was William Thornton from Baltimore, Maryland, the designer of the United States Capitol building. After learning about the gold, he bought 35,000 acres in Montgomery, now Stanley County, and established the North Carolina Gold Mine Company. By 1806, the company's investors included a former Maryland governor and the treasurer of the United States. Most of those coming to North Carolina to search for gold were not as prominent as Thornton and his associates. Detailed records of the early gold seekers are scarce. Initially, local landowners did most of the mining, and the first newcomers were likely from nearby states and similar to the existing residents of western North Carolina. However, another significant event led to a surge in the number and diversity of people moving to the state's gold fields. By the late 1820s, the easily accessible placer gold deposits had been depleted. In 1825, Matthias Barringer began the first lode mining operation in Montgomery County, digging a mine shaft to reach a gold-bearing quartz vein. As surface gold became scarce, miners shifted to extracting gold from these veins in the ground. This started with simple ditching, but eventually evolved into digging deep shafts and tunnels. Such endeavors required significant financial investments in heavy equipment needed for deeper mining. And the complexity of underground mining, including tunnel construction and ventilation, surpassed the capabilities of the local farmers, leading to the rise of mining as a specialized profession. Barringer's discovery of lode mining triggered a new rush to North Carolina, attracting people eager to seek their fortunes. Many major lode mines sprang up in and around Charlotte, and in 1828, J. Humphrey Bissell from Charleston acquired part of the Macomb mine, introducing advanced technology and bringing experienced miners from South America. At one Charlotte mine, which employed nearly 1,000 workers, a melting pot of 13 different languages was spoken. Among the notable figures was Count Vincent de Riva Finoli, an Italian aristocrat and seasoned mining engineer. As the head of the Mecklenburg Gold Mining Company, he recruited around 80 expert miners from England, Germany, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, Switzerland, Italy, and France, adding a touch of culture to the burgeoning mining community. Farmers started examining the stones in their fields, and large landowners from eastern counties like Granville, Halifax, and Warren moved westward, significantly increasing the number of people involved in gold mining once again. At one point, at least 30,000 individuals were engaged in mining in the state. Among the European workers, the Cornish miners from England had the most significant impact on North Carolina's mining culture. These miners brought with them centuries of experience in lode mining, having extracted tin and copper in their homeland. They shared their expertise in safe and effective mining techniques, gold ore milling, and steam technology. The use of steam engines, initially introduced in gold mining, eventually made its way to other North Carolina industries, including textile mills. Many immigrants who arrived during the gold rush were single, ambitious men, free to move between mining sites. When gold was discovered in other southern states, and eventually in California in 1848, many of these prospectors left North Carolina. However, the Cornish miners often brought their families with them, and were known for being, quote, skilled, superstitious, clannish, and devout Methodists. Unlike the transient prospectors, many Cornish families settled in North Carolina permanently, particularly in the lode mining centers of Charlotte and Gold Hill in Rowan County. Cornish culture, distinct within Great Britain with its own dialect and customs, integrated quickly into American life because they also spoke English. While their cultural influence might not be easily pinpointed, their impact on North Carolina's emerging industries is clear. In the early 1800s, North Carolina was nicknamed the Rip Van Winkle State due to its lack of progress. The gold industry, significantly bolstered by the Cornish miners, spurred advancements in industry, commerce, and infrastructure, helping the state shed this reputation. Today's leaders in industry, research, and banking in North Carolina have indirectly benefited from the contributions of these early foreign miners and investors during the nation's first gold rush. By 1824, over 2,500 ounces of gold had been deposited at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1837, a branch of the United States Mint was established in Charlotte. And in 1856, Gold Hill in Rowan County employed more than 3,000 people. The area featured a 600-foot mine shaft, towers and buildings, large piles of sifted earth, railroad spurs, and remnants of once prominent structures. These included a 3-story hotel, several mining company headquarters, busy stores, doctors' offices, blacksmith and leather workshops, and at least one tavern. Gold Hill had 15 mines, with the Gold Hill Mining Company alone being valued at $1 million in 1842, making the town one of the wealthiest in the Piedmont region. However, after gold was discovered in California in 1848, North Carolina's gold mining industry began to decline. Some mines, like the Union Mine at Gold Hill, later produced copper and continued to operate into the 20th century. For the most part, though, gold fever expanded west and stayed on the frontier. That is, except for another period of Atlantic coast gold rushing, where a 20-year period of gold mining prefaced the Old West gold rush down in the North Georgia mountains of the Peach State. Stay tuned for our next installment of American Gold Rushes, where we take you through the rich history of the Georgia Gold Rush.